Hello everyone, this is Teddy Keckstedt from Forex Trading Unlocked, and we are here on Tuesday, February the 23rd, 2021 for a Forex market analysis for you. And we're just going to show you our disclaimer real quick, just to remind you that this video is for illustrative and educational purposes only. Alright, so take a look at that real quick. And now one more last thing to look at. We just want to remind you to subscribe to our Forex Trading Unlocked YouTube channel and Twitch channel. Also check out the book High Probable Japanese Candlestick Patterns, available on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle versions. We will be going over some of these patterns today. Alright, we have the live action screen here. We have the forex-trading-unlocked.com website up. And we are already have the workstation pulled up, which you can access from the market analysis and education. Just go to Forex Trading Unlocked workstation, and we're going to go down to the chart. All right, we already have the dollar index pulled up, and as you can see, yesterday the dollar index made newer move lows, confirming that this downward trend is now back in motion. On the daily, the weekly is kind of neutral. The daily and the hourly is now bearish. However, if this is, let's just say that this is the beginning of a turn in the dollar. If that's the case, then we would be looking to bottom over the next few days to a week or so, and then make a run for higher levels. So it'll be interesting to see how things pan out. Remember that a lot of things that are going on with the pound, or with the British pound especially, are influencing the dollar index really heavily, meaning that the pound is having a big rally versus the dollar, and so are some other currencies, but they're not to the weight that the pound is, considering that it is the second largest currency in the dollar index. So we will watch this, and let's see if we can find out whether the dollar is getting ready for a bullish turn, or if this is just the beginning of another major dollar sell-off. Today we have higher move highs from Euro US dollar. As you can see here, we took out this $21.71 level. This is key. Now, poking new highs confirms obviously that the trend is higher and stronger and bullish. However, we're barely making these new highs. So let's see. I think if we pull up our, let's see, where is our Euro US dollar chart on our Ninja Trader platform? Okay, we have an extended upside target of $22.43 up here. So that would be coming off of this low that we had set up here just a week ago. So now the market has confirmed that it has made a higher move high after a higher move low. So that's indicative of what? That means that we are confirming the higher move trend. Now remember, the monthly is a bull. The weekly is fairly neutral, but definitely the daily is now becoming bullish again on the Euro US dollar, and so is the hourly as well. Now, there is a bit of divergence between many of the currencies and the dollar, so it's not that everyone is just a bear versus the dollar. I would use caution with the euro. I think the pound will have a better chance of accelerating than the euro does, predominantly because of the oil trade. The trade in oil being anything above $60, especially as I wouldn't doubt that we're going to see $70, $75 oil by this summertime, let alone $100 before the fall, or even definitely before the year is out. And if that's the case, the euro is going to have a lot of trouble. The pound actually will not have so much trouble. So you're going to probably see, even if the dollar is a bear continuously moving forward, that the euro will not gain quite as much as the pound, because they have many geopolitical issues within the EU, which now the UK no longer has to deal with. So let's see, Euro US dollar. Do we want to buy this thing, or do we want to sell this thing? Well, let's take a look at the other currencies, and then we'll figure out if we have a real predominant strength here, because we know versus the pound it doesn't. So British pound, US dollar. Let's see what we got here. All right, this continues to make new highs. This one here is a raging bull, and I have to tell you, like, as long as oil keeps going up, this is not going to stop. It is. I mean, now the slope right here is pretty strong. So let's take a look at how the pound is versus some other currencies real quick. So let's see the British pound versus the JPY. Look at this trend, folks. Okay, so now you know where the strength is coming from. Now think about this. As oil it stays where it's at or goes higher, that's hard for the yen. So that means the yen is going to definitely be weaker versus the pound, just on an oil factor right there. This trend is very aggressive. Let's look at the British pound now versus the Canadian dollar. Even versus the Canadian dollar, and the Canada is a very big oil trade in itself. So that also tells you a lot about the British pound strength that's going on in the market. Let's look at the British pound versus the Australian dollar. Australian dollar, a little more neutral, but remember the Australian dollar is a heavy commodity country as well as with oil, so that kind of neutralizes that trade. So let's get back to the British pound, US dollar, and you can see where this strength resides. Okay, so now I think on our Ninja Trader platform here, let's see if I don't think we had any upside targets here, but we could actually set one here. See, here's the thing is that we had a extended continuation buy signal that had occurred a week ago. Let's see what we can do here with our risk reward here. So we initially had, on this day, we had a buy signal, but we took this out already. So what I think we're going to probably see happen over the next couple days is, well, the oil numbers are coming out tomorrow, Wednesday at 9:20, something like that, Central Standard Time. If those things can help to subdue things with the pound, then it would come in around Wednesday with those numbers, especially if there's a lot of supply and because we have a lot of issues with weather, obviously, with Texas and things like that in the United States. So we're going to continue to see that this will probably maintain its buying momentum and pressure highs. I would say 142 to 143 is not out of the question. If we do fall back, I think you're going to find a lot of support down here around this $1.38 level. So we have a lot of strength in that European currency. So this is driving the dollar index. Remember how we started with the dollar index. Now let's look at the US dollar Swiss. Now the US dollar Swiss, we had a bullish engulfing line buy signal. So this goes counterintuitive to the trend with the other European currencies. Right now, we have the US dollar that is gaining versus the Swiss. Remember, the Swiss is a flight to quality currency, just like the yen and the dollar. Swiss being one of the most neutral and biggest currencies for that. However, you can see that with this neutrality and lack of bearishness on the Swiss's part, like it tried to yesterday, but what did it do? It made a higher move high after a higher move low. We have this bullish engulfing line buy signal here that confirmed a higher move low on this correction. So we were looking from January up until now as this being an upside correction with the dollar versus the Swiss. And this is where I'm telling you we're going to have a lot of divergence come into the market. So as the pound continues to go and make new highs versus the dollar, it's very likely that the Swiss will continue to make a run at resistance. Not in a big way, but it's very likely to continue to make higher move highs. After all, it has been doing nothing but make higher move highs and higher move lows. That is the trend. You want to stick with the trend until you have a confirmation otherwise. So as far as targets, what do we have here? So for the US dollar Swiss, we have, where do we have it? We have right here, the US dollar Swiss. We have a short-term upside target here of 90.48. That's just above this recent high over here. That would confirm higher move highs and most likely would stimulate fresh buying. I wouldn't get overzealous on any extended rally for the Swiss. I think you're going to see it start to get a little choppy, and I think you'll have sell-offs like you've seen here as it makes its move higher. Like I said, I think you will see divergence with this, as well as that's why I think the euro also is not going to be as strong versus the dollar like the pound. And should you think about this, if the euro starts to fall back and does not continue its rally and all of a sudden becomes bearish versus the dollar, then and the pound stays bullish, which most likely it will, it's very likely that the Swiss won't move too radically to the upside just because of that disparity and divergence of the European currencies. So, but we are looking for it to pressure resistance, challenge this high right here. Once we break through there, then we'll have to come up with some other ideas on what's going on. So the US dollar JPY, let's take a look at this right now. We have a little bit of a turnaround Tuesday. We pressed lower move lows. However, we didn't even come down to tag this upward sloping support line that is maintaining the trend. I personally think that no matter what, even if with the pound going, with the oil trade the way it is, that it's going to be hard for the yen to gain much strength versus the dollar right now. So I believe that you're most likely seeing that this is a profit-taking sell-off that's starting to turn today. We'll watch the numbers tomorrow. Maybe we spike another lower move low. But 104.70, I think, is your base. Definitely only a failure of 104.40 here would have us on the bearish campaign again. Otherwise, we're looking for a reason to buy. So we'll see what happens with the close today. If we have a positive close today and then we get a rally tomorrow, that would be a good indication that we're going to see another move for at least a challenge of this 105.76 area. The slope of this trend is not that steep. It could come out. It would be a little better if it was a little more gradual, but it is having good corrective moves and maintaining the slope. I think that the strength is there in the dollar versus the yen. So let's see what we have here on the Ninja Trader. We have our downside here. We have 104.68, which comes right into that one extended point. We have to wait for a turn to figure out whether or not we're going to have a buy yet on this one. So we're waiting on this one, but it's coming close. We'll see how it settles today. Let's see how everything else is going. Now look at this. This also helps us with the Asian trade zone with Australian dollar, US dollar here, making higher move high after higher move high this week. But today it's starting to run out of gas as we're talking right now. It's actually going a little bit negative. So we'll see how this pans out. Right now, this is a bull that's broke out to the upside in a nice way. This market has been a bull versus the US dollar now for quite some time. So it's going to be very hard pressed to you don't want to jump in front of a fallen knife when it's when the market's breaking, just like you don't want to run in front of a freight train as it's climbing up the hill here, because it just is not stopping. It's grinding higher. I would look for a reason to buy a dip later than to try and sell into this move right now. If we get a turn in the oil numbers tomorrow and you see a sell-off in oil, which, by the way, we'll take a look at this right now. We can see when you go to the Forex Trading Unlocked.com website, you go down here to the markets tab, and we can go down to commodities over here. Now, this is a good way to get a reference of the futures, as well as then tag it into the basis of the cash markets. So here we just pulled up the crude oil chart. And as you can see, yesterday we had a big move to the upside once again, challenging, getting ready to get above 62.5. So let's see where we're at right now. If we go to the CME website, go to market data, we go to energies. Let's see where oil is at right now. Market data, energy, here we go. All right, here we go. Crude oil futures are down slightly. So they're at 61.41. So basically we're just below where they settled yesterday on the daily basis. So as you can see, they're hovering right there. That's good. That's going to keep the Australian dollar, US dollar pressing highs. Now, is crude oil going to only go one way? Is it going to have any decent sell-off? Well, I think just the momentum is just really there. It's hard to fade this stuff right now. So especially with the new policy for oil in the United States being that they're going to stop drilling as soon as they possibly can. So New Zealand dollar, US dollar, this oil trade is helping it as well. This one popped. This one doesn't have the strength and resiliency as the Australian dollar does, but it is close. I think no matter what, even if you have a dollar bull versus certain currencies, especially even like the euro and the Swiss, it would be hard to continue any big sell-off in the New Zealand dollar, just like the Australian dollar right now with the rally in commodities. Should we see a dip in inflation where things start to slow at least, but right now it's on an accelerated path. We've gone to red line on the inflationary. We've seen more inflation in the EU in just the past 2 months, well, actually in the month of December, than in the past 4 or 5 years. So that just tells you right there as far as what's going on with them. And I don't know if you've been to the gas pump lately, but I just filled up this morning and was noticing that the average gas price now is over $1 higher than it was at Christmas time. So, and pretty much over $1 than it was a month ago. So that's how fast that's trickling into the economy, and that will definitely have an impact as we move forward into the second and third quarters. I can't see how that will not start to slow economies down because earnings will start to get affected. All right, U.S. dollar, Mexican peso, we had a breakout to the upside. Look at this, a little sell-off today. I think this is just a profit-taking move right now. You had a higher move high after a higher move low. This market is in a long-term neutral, or medium weekly term neutral, long-term bearish on a monthly. Daily, it's short-term bullish, and hourly, it's rather neutral to bullish. So we're looking for higher move highs. We just confirmed higher move highs with keeping the upward trend intact. So now we just key off of these levels. You can move this resistance line up to the high from yesterday. This would be our next breakout point to the upside. I would say that since we now have confirmed and broken this downward sloping trend, that right now we have confirmed neutrality, and we are looking now to follow this upward sloping support line. So we'll see how this unfolds. We don't have any price targets for you right now. We've already hit them. US dollar Canada. Let's take a look at what's going on here. This one is a grind. This one is so tough. With oil going higher, it's hard for the dollar to rally versus the Canada, especially with the way things are just, there's no reason for us to get any type of really bullish momentum on the dollar. However, this trade is beaten up. So to the downside, I'm not looking for much. What I would do is wait for a rally to sell. By attrition, we can come through this downward sloping resistance line that's keeping the trend intact. But this is only the short-term monthly trend intact. So, I mean, by attrition, we're going to go out of this. It doesn't make confirmed strength or even neutrality for the U.S. dollar Canadian trade. I just think that it's been so overdone that we're stretched to the point where it's very hard to continue to just slam new lows. Like you see in slides like you had back here in November and in December, those were something I think that right now, I don't see this where we're at right now continuing that harshly. Now, should oil all of a sudden continue to climb over the next few days, especially if the numbers that come out tomorrow are very bearish, and all of a sudden you see oil at $65, $66, $67 a barrel by the end of the week or next week, well, then you're going to probably see the Canada back down around $1.23. So we could see a slide that would equate to something like this that we had in November into December. For the overall break here, this market is making lower move lows and lower move highs, so it is in a bearish trend. So be mindful of this. I think you look for rallies to sell than trying to catch a falling knife. Unless you got a valid buy signal, the one good thing is you just risk the current lows. And then, I mean, like right now, I guess a low-risk bullish trade would be to get long versus the low from yesterday. Below 125.81, you don't want to be long. So that's just the way to look at that one. Let's see, do we have any questions out there? It doesn't look like we have any questions out there at all from anybody. We got a little bit of participation, some remarks there on YouTube. Nothing on Twitch. You guys are quiet today. So, all right, let's go back to the Euro US dollar. So we figured out where the British pound strength is coming from. One, it's rallying versus pretty much every currency out there. So if you're looking for a currency that's strong right now, it is the British pound. Euro US dollar looks like it's kind of lagging as far as, let's look on the hourly trade. Yeah, it's looking kind of weak. I don't know. We're heading, U.S. markets are only open a couple hours now. And you have the Asian markets that are closed, European markets that are closing. So we don't really have much to look forward to. I think what like you have to really watch out for is this $21.71 area. And if we can get above there, buying will probably build, but I don't think it's going to be explosive. Short term, maybe on the hourly, you could sell right now against the high here at 21.80. You know, it's a low risk sell, I guess, but I don't think you have very much to the downside. Maybe down to 21.20 from here today if we start to continue to go lower. And if we do that, then you're just looking at a correction like this before we start to probably go higher. So we'll see how this manifests. It's been a good week so far. We've had some interesting momentum to the upside. The dollar definitely is getting stirred up, and the bears are having their fun. So remember to watch out for the oil futures and also with the interest rate futures as well. the way they are pounding lows, that also makes it hard for the dollar to sell off too extreme versus a lot of currencies. That's why I think you have to be mindful of the commodity-driven trade. And if somehow we get some big sell-off in oil, I mean, God forbid, the Saudis and the Russians start to try and flood the market with oil again like they did a year and a half ago, that would be something that, shabam, that would really drastically lower the price of oil, because it would take our demand off the fact that now we are no longer going to be an exporter, especially after the new rules, executive orders. We are now going to be a net importer of oil once again, which means we don't want to be paying high prices for foreign oil. So hopefully the foreign oil will help drive domestic oil prices lower, if they start pumping, but I don't know. We'll see. Right now, I think that they got a stranglehold on the United States. So why would they, start to work with us now? So I don't think that's going to happen. So be mindful of that. Watch the interest rates, and then also watch Forex-Trading-Unlocked.com any chance you get. Also, don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already to our YouTube channel and our Twitch channels. Also, check out the book, High Probable Japanese Candlestick Patterns. It's available on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle versions. And if you read that, you can learn how to trade these candlestick patterns or incorporate them into your own systems that you already have working already. So I want to say thank you very much. I'm Teddy Keckstedt for Forex Trading Unlocked. You have a good day.